we're able to hear our intuition more. And that intuition, that feeling can be so subtle. You might always go the same direction. I always go right to work. But if your intuition's like, no, you should go left, there's a reason. So are you going to listen and take the easier route of the intuition, or are you going to go with what the mind tells you, which sometimes can lead into bumps in the road? Welcome to the first episode of At Home with ChaChaMama. I'm your host, ChaChaMama, and I am honored to be here. This has been a project that I have been dreaming in for several years, and I'm excited to be here with you. A space of connection, of community, of spirituality. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about my story, my spiritual awakening, and my journey. And I'm also going to tune in a little bit to the energy because we're really in the fall equinox energy. And also, I'll share some of my tips to bring ritual and ceremony into your life and to really tune into your intuition. So before we get into tips about intuition, let me share a little bit about myself and where this podcast was birthed. My name is ChaCha. I am a medicine woman, a psychic medium, a ceremonialist. I love working in deep healing work, and my journey really began in 2009 when I started receiving messages from spirit. In 2009, I was taking a shower, I was washing my hair, and I remember thinking to myself, Jessica, tell your mom I love her, and I'm sorry I wasn't there for her. For about 10 seconds, I started to think, why would I talk to myself that way? And then I knew what had happened and who had talked to me. I had just had my mom's cousin speak a message to me in my mind. So I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, this happened. And she said, Jessica, I got that message 5 years ago from a good friend of ours that's a world-renowned psychic in town, Marilyn Gaddy. She said she got this message from her and she had given her the letter M. And for my mom, she felt like it was a message from her brother. And actually I said, no, this is from your cousin Mark. And I remember that whole day really shaking with the reality that I had just received a message from someone who had passed away. This had never happened to me before. I was really shocked and nervous, and I went to work and I shared my story. And of course, it didn't come across well because that's really strange. Not a lot of people do that. And I started to connect with meditation through meditation circles, but I didn't really know what was happening, why I had received this message. And then I was also experiencing feeling my grandfather, who I'd never met, stand beside my bed. Or a fiance that had passed away, I felt his energy in the corner of my room. And then I had a really scary experience that really scared me away from wanting to know more. And when this happened, my first thought was, oh my gosh, I'm going to wake up like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. Someone's going to be in my body and they're going to be running my body because I was in bed and I woke up to it shaking. My bed was shaking. And I felt like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, when that ghost goes into her body, she's, and that was happening to me. And all I could do is curl in the fetal position and say, please stop, please stop, please stop. And eventually it did, but I was really scared. I was really scared to be in that room. I was really scared of these experiences. And fast forward several years later to studying at Arthur Findlay College in England, and a teacher saying, your guide said that they scared you in the beginning and they're really sorry. They didn't mean to do that. Now I knew exactly what she was talking about because at that time in 2009, it scared me away from wanting to know more. But I did start to set boundaries, which is a big deal in your spiritual awakening, in your connection of energy. So I started setting boundaries. You're not allowed in my room. I can feel you, but I don't want to talk to you. I would speak to them. So I learned that early on. I really shut everything down for several years. After that message, my mom passed tragically. And that was about 8 months after I delivered that message to her. And then about 4.5 years after that, I lost my father to liver cancer. And through that, about a year after his passing, I decided I wanted to connect with a medium. I wanted a reading, and it really wasn't to talk to past loved ones. However, I couldn't get a hold of the person I usually see and ended up having a friend's information come across my Facebook feed, and she's a medium. I had no idea. We grew up together. So I went to see her and I sat with her and I had shared my experience with her. And she said, "Oh, you're a medium." And so I get this reading. A few months later, I start taking classes. I'm studying psychic ability, mediumship, Reiki, energy healing. And then I studied with mediums in New York, mediums at Arthur Findlay in England, and really sat in circle to understand my gifts, develop my gifts. And I was already offering readings and sitting in psychic events, offering mediumship readings one-on-one, offering healings, and my gift advanced. I opened a healing center. I was connected with other healers there, massage therapists, bringing healing, leading moon ceremonies. But as my journey continued and I opened the Spiritualist Center, that same year, 2019, I began my own deep healing journey with plant medicine. And I was in a point in my life, my business was really expanding. I had a wonderful home, a relationship, and I was really unhappy and going through a lot of depression. And for about a year, I had been sitting with what would help me. I had tried therapy. I had tried EMDR. I have worked on my health and my fitness. And I was still struggling with depression and anxiety and really feeling happy in life with all of these happy things that I had going and had in my presence, including family and friends. And so as I dug deeper into plant medicine, it changed my life and brought about another spiritual awakening. And at that point, I started leading retreats with plant medicine very shortly after with a mentor, exploring these deep healing retreats with sacred medicines to open the heart, to open our awareness, to let down the walls and the guards so that we could become one with ourselves again. And I feel that the work that I do is about bringing you home to your heart. This podcast is about that, but the healing work of embodiment of self, of really understanding ourselves fully, of being able to walk forward in life with our intuition, that awakening really started. And I started helping others on that journey. This allowed me to see parts of myself that needed tending, that needed loved, that needed to be spoken to, acknowledged, witnessed. And then I began to sit in these deep healing spaces with women in goddess retreats, watching women come into community together to lift and empower each other, to take away the judgment, the jealousy, the envy, to sit in witness in a safe circle, building relationships, building friendships, building a community. And I feel honored because that community has continued. And really one of my most favorite spaces to work in is with ceremonial cacao. I lead a monthly cacao ceremony, and this is a space of community, of healing together in community, because when we heal together in community, that spreads into our personal communities, our families, our friends, our workspace, and it continues to grow from there. And I am here to share with you that this spiritual journey is a journey. And I truly hope that as this podcast continues and grows, that it will help inspire yours, because it isn't this journey of awakening and it's like, oh, it gets better and better and better. It does. And also there are deep valleys that you go into, deep awarenesses of things you need to know and learn and be aware of about yourself so that you can lead a path of ease, of hearing your intuition, of really reaching and achieving your goals and feeling pure joy in life. Because really, I think that might be the job, is to, well, we come here to earth to learn. We came here, we knew what path we were taking when we came here. We picked our parents. We said, I'm going to go there. I'm going to learn those lessons. And for me, I feel like when we hit deja vu, that is, we're like, boom, I hit a spot on the blueprint that I made. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And each decision, and this leads us into a little bit of connecting with your intuition, because each decision that we make in our lives, we come to a crossroads and we need to choose left or right. That decision puts us on the path that we're meant to be on. You can't do it wrong. You only do it differently, because these paths are going to lead you where you need to be. However, when you listen to your intuition, when you really tune into the yes and the no in your system, instead of listening fully to the brain that takes in the information, that ingests the information that you have to utilize to make your decisions, the intuition allows you to feel it in your body to feel if it's right. Intuition can come in many different ways. You might see a vision. You might see it physically with your eyes. This is the clairvoyance. You have the clairaudience, where you might hear it in your mind as your thought form, like my first message came. You might hear it through your ears or hear sounds. You might taste or smell. The taste is the clairgustance. The smell is the clairalience. And then you also might feel and know. You're feeling your clairsentience. You're knowing your claircognizance. So tuning in to your intuition, these subtle senses that challenge the mind a little bit, because the mind typically knows what to do and logically follows these steps. Whereas the intuition is a trust in yourself. Your intuition is your connection to your soul that is connected to the oneness. It is connected to the oneness and the part of you that knows everything, that knows the blueprint, that knows the path. So how can you tune in and listen to your yes and your no, or your pause? The more you get to know yourself, how you react, how you respond, your quirks, your needs, your anything about yourself. What makes you work? What makes you tick? What triggers you? The more that we heal and we know those things about ourselves, we're able to hear our intuition more. And that intuition, that feeling can be so subtle. You might always go the same direction. I always go right to work. But if your intuition's like, no, you should go left, there's a reason. So are you going to listen and take the easier route of the intuition, or are you going to go with what the mind tells you, which sometimes can lead into bumps in the road where we might say, I don't know why things aren't working out for me. Maybe that feeling like things aren't going right, I'm feeling like I'm struggling. Where is it that you can sit back and listen in meditation, through breath work, through just being quiet and slowing down the mind, which I find the easiest way to slow the mind for me is to focus on my breath in and my breath out. Easy breath in, breath out. Even setting the intention to breathe in positive energy, breathing out negative energy. These might seem like simple tasks, but really they are impactful tasks. Even sitting with the focus on the breath for a minute a day can change the way you feel, you respond, you react. And it helps to bring you in more alignment with yourself, more awareness with yourself. So I encourage you to tune into yourself through a daily meditation, a daily breath work of breathing in and out, even if it's a minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, do what feels best to you. And start to bring that ritual into your life, which will help tune you into your subtle yes and your no. And use your subtle yes and your no in the grocery store. Should I get this candy bar? Should I get this broccoli? Is there something else I need? What are you feeling the yes? Sit with it and allow your awareness to open, really tuning in then to the intuitive messages coming, because some things will drop in for you that are helpful hints from the higher self. Little reminders. Oh yeah, I got to get broccoli. Oh, I forgot. I have to get this. So tuning into your intuition can be something that you're using very subtly in your daily life. Speaking of a time of pause, really sitting with yourself, we're moving in to the fall equinox energy. Here we are. And this is a time of balance. This is a time of really starting to turn inward, reflecting on this year and what you really received. And it's also a time of preparing for the winter, before the dark part of the year. And when we think of this in the shamanic sense, in the wheel of the year, we're in the west. The sun is setting. We've got the fall energy and a lot of energy of release. So let this fall energy really bring in a flow and a balance for you. So noticing where you can bring in balance in your life. We're bringing in on the fall equinox, balance of light and balance of dark. We have an equal amount of daylight and we have an equal amount of darkness. And this is a time of bringing balance into your life. So noticing where you can balance time for yourself, starting to prepare to go inward, and starting to notice what you can release. Where can you let go? This is a time where we're releasing a lot of energy. We're really reflecting on what this year has brought us and really preparing to go into the darkness. We're going into the darker part of the year, which is a time of introspection. So as you're sitting in this fall equinox energy, I recommend that you do a ritual for the fall equinox of really tuning into what you received, what you harvested this year, what you would like to give honor to, and also what you'd like to let go of. These would all be great things to write down on a list. As you sit in ritual, it's always great to call in your guides. Bring in the sacred elements of the east, the air, the south, the fire, the west, the water, and the north, the earth, as well as a candle, because the energy from the candle can help to transmute the energy of the release. And the empowerment of these elements together with your spirit can help to really share your gratitude with your loved ones, your spirit guides that are helping you along your path. So write down, what is it you want to release? What are you grateful for that you really harvested this year? And what is it that you can offer yourself, an offer to spirit on your altar as a preparation, as a commitment to the inner work that you're about to dig into through this fall energy moving into the winter. I recommend that you put an offering for your ancestor on your altar, something to represent you on your altar, and something to offer your spirit guides, items from nature, jewelry, these items, crystals, anything that calls to you, spices, herbs, foods, are all items that can represent the fall energy. Apples, pumpkins, the color orange, things that your ancestors that you're speaking to might like, feathers for loved ones. So you can think of different items that you are called to put on your altar because it's personal to you, that you can build for your fall equinox. Then read your gratitude list out loud, read your release out loud, and then place them in a bowl of water. We're in the west and the water energy, so we want to utilize that water energy and allow the flow of the energy of the water energy brings in grace. It brings in a powerful flow. It brings in that fast current. It's got a lot of cleansing and purification. So put those papers in a bowl of water and then offer it to the earth. Really allow that water and that paper to be buried into the earth. That can be a beautiful altar for your fall equinox and a way to bring in intention and to open the energy for yourself. As you move into doing your ritual, allow your ritual to be unique to you and bring in pieces that feel important to you during this time. And then sit in a meditation. Focus on your breath inward. Focus on bringing in the energy for your preparation of your inner work, of seeing your shadows, of exploring more, and sitting in gratitude for what you've received. It's a beautiful way to spend your fall equinox. You can also come sit with me in ceremony. The fall equinox ceremony is on September 27th in Louisville, Kentucky. We will be sitting with ceremonial cacao and other sacred medicines, sitting in community for healing, for meditation, breath work, sacred healing work, and I welcome you into the circle. You can find all of this information on my website, thejessicatanselle.com. And I'll share where the name Cha-Cha came from. The name Cha-Cha and ChaChaMama came from in another episode. You'll get a lot of stories, a lot of fun things that I look forward to sharing and remembering and bringing some special friends, colleagues, and guests on for you to continue to explore your spiritual awakening. Thank you for sitting through the first episode of At Home with ChaChaMama. See you next time.